Very good evening to all dear participants. Today's speaker of this session, Dr. Rashmi Gurao. And I think our chairperson of the day will be joining soon us, Professor Anupam Srivastu sir, and all other dignitaries present over here. Today we will be having our session on basic concepts of Ayurveda, concept of Dosh, Dhatu and Mal. Dr. Rashmi will be taking the session. She is currently working as assistant professor in the department of Kriya Sharir. She is having more than 8 years of experience, and she is recipient of Best Oral Paper Presentation, a prize for the paper presentation, a conference on application of Dosh Dhatu Mal in physiopathology of Pranavaya Shrotas Vyadhi. She has published more than 10 papers in various national and international peer-reviewed journals. She is having experience of more than 6 oral presentations in various seminars. And she has also attended more than 10 CMEs, ROTPs, and workshops. I would like to invite her for her lecture. Dr. Rashmi, please.
Thank you so much, Sarika ji, for a lovely intro. The chairperson is sitting behind me in my chamber, so I'll share the PPT right away. So first of all, the organizers have given me the Herculean task of completing the Dosha Dhatu Mala, that is basic concepts, in just 1 hour. So I'll try my best to do. Okay. So we will not be discussing any of the quotations and like that. We will go into the basic idea of Dosha Dhatu Mala. As we have seen that, one second. Now the learning objectives of this session is we will overview the three dosha, Sapta Dhatu and Trimala concept, then understand the nuances of Dosha Dhatu Mala. Basically what happens, we take Dosha Dhatu Mala with their basic definition of first year BMS, and that's where our research aim and objectives or our research outcome gets affected by it. And last we will discuss some about scope of research in Dosha Dhatu and Mala. Now we know that there is five primordial elements. So in yesterday's lecture, sir has already discussed these things. But these five primordial elements are basically known for their qualities. Now on the basis of qualities, we decide whether it is Akash Mahabhut Pradhan, Vayu Mahabhut Pradhan or any other. Now this model of Panch Mahabhuta or five primordial elements is applicable to each and every cell or each and every portion of this living world. So this is Rutherford nuclear model of atom. I know most of you have taught this in your first year BMS class while explaining Panchamahabhuta before NCSM syllabus, because now it is not in our syllabus. So from this basic model, we can describe Akash, Vayu, Tej, Agni, Jala, how they are present in each and every material. But then the topic of today's is basics of Chikitsa in Ayurveda. That is Dosha, Dhatu and Mala. Now, why they are basics of Chikitsa? So we can understand from the various Samhitas of Ayurveda that the Ayurveda is not taught in the way of anatomy, physiology, but it is taught from the point of view of Chikitsa. Dhatu Samyam, Kriya Chokta. That is our aim. Okay, Swastha se Swastha Rakshanam and then Aturasya Vikar Prashmancham. So most focus is given on the physiological functions or functional part in Ayurveda. So this is what you get when you search dosha in Wikipedia. So you must know the highlighted text that dosha are purely imaginary. There is one author named Harriet Hall. She writes a blog in internet under the name of Skeptical Inquirer. She solely resembles or tells that Ayurveda is prehistoric, pre-scientific. You know what is the reason for that? The basic reason is that there is lack of research paper publication. Okay, we have published for clinical research, drug research, we have gone to a mile. But what about the basic science? We today also we are not able to prove about the dosha, dhatu, and mala. Some steps are taken on the basis of aerogenomics, but still there is some lacuna in our basic research. Then coming to the concepts, then what is dosha? So most important thing about the dosha is it operates only in living body. Now this is a basic concept that differs from Panchabhuta. Panchabhuta operates in living as well as non-living, but dosha are the derivatives of Panchamahabhuta. Now only dosha entity dosha is a halfway definition of dosha. So if it completes all these criteria, then only we call it as a dosha. So it must be responsible for constitution, physiological processes, regulation of physiological processes, and it has the ability to vitiate other entities and formation of disease independently. Okay, this is a major criteria that differentiate between dhatu and mala. So if an entity complete all these categories, then we will count it as dosha, and that's why rakta is not called as dosha by the acharyas. Now types of dosha we know that is mind and body, their balance is to be maintained, raja and tama are dosha. Now these are important for psychological approach of treatment as well as physical approach of treatment. Now, basic outline of Triki dosha, if we go, the Vata consists of Gati and Gandhan. So, there are four meanings of Gati and Gandhan, that is Gamana, Jnana, Prapti and Moksha. So, if you can understand the meaning of this, then it relates to all the physiological process, controlling processes of our body. Now, Gandhan is Utsaha, Himsa, Suchan. So, all this depicts the various aspects of dosha Vata. Then Pitta is Santapa. Tapa Santapa is defined as Pitta. So it is about generation of heat. Remember that it is not defined as biotransformation. Okay, so all the exothermic processes in the body can be included under Pitta. So importance is given to this. In Agni, there is different because we are talking about biotransformation there. But here, the origin of Pitta dosha is generation of it. Whatever it generates heat, it comes under Pitta. Then next is Shlishalingane. So conjugation of molecules where there is anabolic reaction, anabolic function, we call it as kapha. Then types of dosha we know, that is two types of Sharir dosha are there, Prakrit dosha and Vaikrit dosha. Now Prakrit dosha responsible for Prakriti or constitution. Now its proportion never changes and changes only at the time of death. Now these are being studied for, in Ayurgenomics, which will be covered in the later lectures of this workshop. Now next important type is Vaikrit dosha, which are formed from Ahara. So ahar, the diet which we take every day, that gives rise to dosha. Now it nourishes Prakrit dosha and maintains homeostasis. So these are the dosha that what does it do? That they enhance or vitiate other entities. Okay, they are which undergoes imbalance and aggravate and decline due to various factors for time, diet, season, etc. Now these are the main focus of our research that can be carried out. Okay, we can make various research protocols regarding what time of day or season or even of consuming various diets, what happens to our dosha. Okay, so these are the basic life processes that is given by the modern science, that is growth, nutrition. Now a basic life requires all these processes, and all these processes can be okay, grouped under these three, kapha, pitta and vata. So in this way, what happens, you can see responsiveness, movement, differentiation, respiration, transpiration, it undergoes vata. So most of the people say that we can't show dosha. So it's not possible because this is basically more about functional aspect rather than a dravya. So kapha is not the cuff that is put or the uh, sputum that is spitted out, or pitta is not the amla pitta, that is malarupa pitta, that needs to be understood while designing a research protocol or doing research on dosha, because if you take pitta and you take bile as it, then it will not yield any proper results. Now this is the first thermodynamic law that is applied to the body. That is, food when it adds to the chemical and potential energy of the body, and it then converted into doing various physiological work, heat transfer, as well as storage of fat and nutrients. Okay, now for addition of this chemical energy, we require three things, that is digestive movements, digestive secretions, hormones or enzymes, and mucus secretion proper, other processes that supports the digestion process, yeah, addition of chemical potential energy. Now these factors are governed by Prakrit dosha, and whatever the output of this addition of chemical energy can be included in Vaikrit dosha. Okay, next is composition of dosha. So composition of dosha, it comes Akash and Vayu for Vata, Agni, Jala and Prithvi. Now this combination is made on the properties of the Vata, Pitta and Kapha that are exhibited by the dosha. Okay, and this there is one Panchamautik Chikitsa carried out in Maharashtra, where they work on the principle of Akash Mahabhut, Vayu Mahabhut, Agni Mahabhut, and this principle is basically used to treat disease. That if there is any cavity is increased, then there is a increase in Akash Mahabhut, and it may be compensated or treated with Jala or Prithvi Mahabhut, and vice versa. So next is the location of dosha. Now you will appreciate that this kind of dosha is kapha, pitta and vata. Okay? So here the location of kapha is typically where that requires regulation, control. Okay, respiratory movements, cardiovascular movements, if they are increased beyond a particular limit, then it may result in deformity. Similarly, vata is there where it is very much necessary for things to be excreted out of the body or taken out of the body. Pitta is usually associated where is the conversion or biotransformation is associated. Now we all know these are primary sites and secondary sites, and we know that what are the symptoms which we get when there is a dushti of the particular dosha. So we know that secondary sites are typically those sites which get affected or where the treatment of the same dosha can be applied as per the dosha. Now if we conclude or if we summarize this sthana, then primary site is usually the site of origin, initial site of augmentation of dosha during chaya or prakopa, and initial site of disease formation. So the first, what happens, there is origin of dosha occurs during ahar pachana, then augmentation, it may occur due to various reasons, mithya ahar vihara or Asatma Indriyartha Sangyog, and then initial site of disease formation. The first symptoms are seen in this. In Chai Prakoprasar, we have seen these symptoms. And lastly, it is the site of treatment. So, here the main site where the dosha is eradicated, it can be treated all over the body, or it gets pacified in all over the body. Now the secondary site, normally we see as there is dominance of same Mahabhuta, okay, or other it is a preliminary or major site to get affected by the magnitude or attributes of dosha in the primary site. Now may be a quantitative defect or a qualitative defect. So these two factors should be considered while considering the sites of the dosha, and typically research can be planned in such a way to understand the various diseases of secondary site and its treatment on the primary site, and what is effect on the secondary site. Now properties of dosha, as we know, there are we know the basic properties Snigdhas Lakshan, but Acharya has made 4 categories of it. So first are the inherent properties of dosha, properties of Prakrit dosha that influence the anatomy, physiology and psychological characters of a human being. Now next is the invariable or constant properties of dosha. Now that do not change even after the combination with other dosha. Okay, so having opposite properties. So if the Vata dosha has Ruksha guna, and if it is in with the combination with Snigdha guna, Then Vata will retain its Ruksha Guna and Kapha will retain its Singha Gusha. Now, indicate the vitiated dosha in pathology. It is very important because we have known that Sansara, Vyasa, it is given in the text. So, it typically shows the relationship of dosha with the particular symptom. Now, third category is pathologically crucial properties. Now, pathologically crucial, why? Because most of the pathology of most of the pathology related to particular dosha is seen on these guna only. So, and treatment is done with antagonistic dosha, antagonistic property, not dosha. Okay, it is a printing mistake. So, what we have to do, you have to use the antagonistic property for treatment. Then there are some special qualities of each dosha. For example, Yogvayi, Vyavayi guna of Vata, Ruksha, Laga, Vaishya, Puti, Nila guna of Pitta. Now these are told in the reference to different contexts. So it should be taken in that context only. Okay. So mostly the three guna that we consider, that is inherent properties of dosha. Now they are explained under the Prakriti. So in Ayurgenomics or Prakriti related researches, we can use this dosha for we can use these properties as the uh, as for the research. Then there are invariable properties or constant properties. So for example, Ruksha guna, as I have already discussed, then Ushna, Sneha guna. Then these some of the properties are highlighted. You can see in the last we will discuss why they are highlighted. Okay, so Gati, invariable property, where there is a gati, abnormal gati or proper gati, there is vata dosha. Where there is amurtatva, adrushyatva, it's anavasthitatva. ठीक है. So मुहुर मुहुर वेदना, संचारी vedana, that is the characteristic of vata dosha. Okay, and it is not refrained or uh, refrained or uh, can be masked by the other dosha. You can say that. Then next is pathological crucial. These are explained in Charak Sutrasthan and it is written as Viprit Gunaihi Dravaihi Pittahi Ashu Prashamati Vatehi Ashu Prashamati. Now these properties typically indicate the commonest pathology that occurs due to that dosha. So by considering these three properties, we can say that these are the key properties of dosha which are inherent, invariable as well as pathologically crucial. So even if we focus on these properties or we plan some research in NI, there has been research carried out on the dosha guna and excellent results have been taken regarding the dosha guna and its effect on particular vyadhi. Now, functions of dosha, as we all know, is enthusiasm, expiration, that you know. But if we conclude all these, so Vata combines with movement or emaciating entity, okay, which results in mechanical breakdown or catabolism. So wherever there is a mechanical breakdown or catabolism, the Vata is to be blamed. Then Pitta, we know that is vision, digestion, body temperature. So each and every function can be studied separately for particular dosha in this context. So mostly Pitta is related to heat plus conversion or processing. So we have deliberately not used biotransformation word here because it is mostly about processing. We will see when we will discuss the types of dosha. Now, mostly it is related to metabolism. Why? Because if Pitta Vriddhiksha Lakshana typically depicts the Pitta depicts the increased metabolism or decreased metabolism symptoms. Last is kapha. Now it is related to compactness of body, joints, normal weight, forgiveness. You know? So it is mostly a strengthening entity that results in anabolism. So whatever it is increased or joining of conjugation of molecules, then it relates to kapha. Now types of dosha. So here we all know what is the sthana as well as karma of vata dosha. But you will appreciate the fact that where there is a vata, there is a kapha to balance it. Okay, and you, as you can appreciate that the guna or properties of the vata and kapha are almost antagonist and they balance each other. So a dynamic equilibrium is maintained between vata and the kapha. So you can see that in murdha or head region there is pranavayu for there is tarpak kapha. Okay. Udana vayu and vyana is typically on the ura or thoracic cavity and there is avlambak kapha to control its deviation. Now then Samana Vayu, we have Kledak Kaph as well as Bodhak Kaph for the digestion. And Apan Vayu, Apana Vayu, we can correlate with Shlesha Kaph as Apan Vayu resides in Uru. So, so joints can be controlled. Also, it is seen that when Apan Vayu is vitiated, there is joint pain seen in the patients. Now, here if we appreciate the Pitta dosha, so apart from Pachak Pitta, okay, Alochak, Sadhak, Ranjak as well as Bhrajak, there is just the processing of material. For Alochak Pitta, we can see there is perception of vision, reflection, that is processing of information. Then accomplishment of wishes, intellect, processing of information, that is. Then Ranjak with the conversion of rasa to rakta. Now processing of rasa to rakta, and glowing skin, it is digestion and absorption. So Pachak Pitta is the only Pitta that what does it do? That is, it converts the non-absorbable parts or food into absorbable and non-absorbable part, and it nourishes the other Pitta. So each and every function of prana, udana, vyana, saman, and as well as all types can be research topic for the particular prana. Now, here there is a one quotation that always students get confused, that when we talk about respiratory system, we talk about pranavayu, nabhistha pranapavanaha. So that pranavayu and the pranavayu in the vata prakara, as you can see, it is thoda sa difference hai un dono mein. So it has to be taken in that context. Prana is used for anything that is vital for the life in Sanhita. So it has to be changed, because Pranavastrotas, we have all the diseases related to respiratory system. But in Pranavayu, there is Shwaski Kriya. But as you can see, this function, it is typically related to nervous system as well as respiratory system. So to summarize, so Pranavayu, Alochak Pitta plus Tarpak Kaph is basically associated with nervous system. Then Pranavayu, Udanavayu, respiratory system. It is associated with respiratory system. Then Vyanavayu, Shleshaka Kapha basically governs the musculoskeletal system. Now Vyanavayu, Sadhak Pitta and Avlambak Kapha. They are whole involved in the maintenance or governance of the cardiovascular system. Samanvayu, Pachak Pitta, Kledak Kapha, digestive system. A Bodhak Kapha can be also included in this. And Apanvayu governs excretory and reproductive system. So in this way, we can plan various research protocols regarding these system, association of these system with pranavayu and the types of dosha. Now next we come to what is the dhatu. So the basic concept, we know that dharana dhatu, that is dharan and portion, maintenance and nourishment of various entities. But there are other aspects of this dhatu also. Now they are important for formation of body. They are dynamic in nature. Their nature changes. Their quality or quantity changes as per our diet or our ahara and vihara. So it is dynamic and therefore they have to be replenished by ahara or vihara. Now dosha perform their functions through dhatu. This is important. Dosha alone cannot perform their functions, but they require dhatu. For vayu to do its movement, it requires masa dhatu, asti dhatu. For pitta to make digestion, it requires masa dhatu. Okay. Now they get mediated by dosha and results in the formation of diseases. Now they cannot independently mediate, but dosha is needed for them. When we say rasajvedi, raktajvedi, we know we are not talking about. We are talking about the dosha dushta rasa, which is causing the disease. Now, and they cannot cause the disease independently. Now, these all factors needs to be completed for an entity to be dhatu, because there is one more entity called upadhatu in our text. Now, the concept of saptadhatu, we always take rasa as plasma or lymph, and rakta as blood cells. But in Ayurveda, the Acharya has beautifully explained what to understand by rasa. Now, the definition of rasa, if you go, it is that entity that circulates throughout the body day and night. So that circulates. So there we can say that there are various entities in a body which circulates throughout the. So first is there is a plasma, second is lymph, third is CSF, fourth is intraocular fluid. Now, why we consider plasma or lymph as rasa? Because it is given in the Tasya Hrudayam Sthana. So anything that goes to the Hrudaya, that is known as rasa. So CSF and intraocular fluid get discarded due to this definition. So it is very much important why we are considering it, because some aspects of rasa are plainly correlated with plasma, while others can be correlated with lymph. But the main quality of lymph that is associated with immunity is not given by the rasa. Then next is rakta, which colors red or red in color itself. Now in mass, you can appreciate that it is Sharir Pushtikar. It is not emphasized that muscle giving movement. Okay, so there are three categories of three definitions or three concepts are given for an entity to be called as massa. It should be Sharir Pushtikar. It covers it have to cover the organs in the form of muscle, tendon or ligaments, and perform flexion or extension. Now these three things to be done to be an entity to be called a massa. Then Meda is which provides Ankite Sneha, oily or lubrication and offers strength. So strength is very much important, and when it gets vitiated, the first thing to go is the strength in case of Meda. Now Asti, it is a hard substance present inside the mass dhatu, entity that is thrown away after the death. It is the only entity that remains after the decomposition of the body, therefore it is known as Asti. Now Majja is the uncutaneous entity which is buried inside the bone. Now here Majja is not only bone marrow, but every entity that is buried inside bone and which has Sneha Tattva or unctuous. So this gives rise to the fact that which has been emphasized by Ashtanga Sangraha, that Mastulungam Mastishkagat Majja. Then Netra is again another avayav that has the quality of Majja. Then Shukra, it is white, pure, excellent dhatu, Sara dhatu. So if all your dhatu are well nourished, then their Shukra will be well nourished. And if a Shukra is well nourished, then what happened is the greatest or Sara bhaga comes to it, and the progeny that is produced is healthy or optimum. Then composition of dhatu. Here you can appreciate one more thing, that most of the dhatu has predominance of jalad bhaga, and if you count it, it approximately comes 70% of the composition. So it is very important. Now if you see the functions, so Med dhatu, that is jala plus prithvi, so it is the only dhatu that has the ability to block. Okay, so Parthiv dhatu, Parthiv dhatu is Marks dhatu, and we will talk afterwards regarding that. Okay, whatever they. So Parthiv dhatu, and again there is a Parthiv dhatu, and there is a Jal plus Prithvi dhatu. So here we can see that Meda dhatu is. Please stop this annotation request. We will discuss afterwards what you are trying to do. So here Meda dhatu is giving the proper if the Jala Bhag is increased or Prithvi Bhag is increased, it may result in blockage. And therefore, when Meta Dhatu is overly nourished, what it does is it stops the nourishment of other dhatus or Uttar Dhatu. Then the seat of Dhatu, as we all know, there is Srotasa as well as Kala. Now, here it is a very important thing that Srotasa are mainly not these are the Moolasthana of different Srotasa, and Moolasthana is defined as Pravasthana. So, not only means that the Dhatu is produced there, it may be that it may be it may be a site where the dhatu is produced, or it may be a site where the disease is occurring, or it may be a site where we do the parikshan or investigation of that particular dhatu related disorders. Now here is a one more reference of kala that is given in the Vishavega Kala, that is ya eva astigara dara ta eva purishdhara kala. So purishdhara kala and pittadhara kala, you know, Astidhara Kala. These are the topics that needs to be studied for better understanding of Asti Dhatu portion as well as Majja Dhatu portion. Now Shukradhara Kala is given as Sarva Sharir Vapani. And then how is that possible? Okay. So Shukradhara Kala, the main function of Shukra is Garbhodpadan, the Shreshta Karma. So Garbhodpadam is not, it was reproduction. So it may correlate to mitosis or meiosis in case of cell where the daughter cells are formed. So formation of dhatu is given on different nyayas, that is Kedari Kulya, Kshirdadi and Khalekapot Nyaya. Now this is a major area that we can do various research regarding that. So how this diagram we all know. So what we are supposed to do is how the Ahar Rasa is converting into different dhatu that can be studied from this part. Or we know that this selective absorption or complete transformation. So complete transformation usually relate in the basic or the last option of the chemical reaction where everything is converted. Then Khalekapot Nyaya, we know it is mainly for the treatment or whatever rasayan kalpa we give to directly nourish the particular dhatva. Now, this is the very interesting part on behalf of Ayurveda concept, that is the formation of dhatu. Okay. So, Charaka has ray on 7th day, Sushruta has Sharhat is given actually, then Sushruta is given on 30th day and Parashar is given. So, a study can be planned by taking the particular Rasayan Dravya or Ahar Dravya and to see what changes occur with what changes occur or how is the particular ras dhatu is nourished by the particular rasayana, and we can calculate the day on which the rasadushti or formation of particular dhatu is considered. Then functions of dhatu, we know this, that is Sharira Lepa, Sneha, Dhrudhatva, Asti, Pushti, then Deha Dharan, Priti, Sneha, Asti Puran, nourishment of Shukra Dhatu. So same here what we can do is the interdependence of Dhatu on another Dhatu or Purva Dhatu for its nourishment can be studied regarding this. Next is what is Upadhatu. So we are going thoda sa fast because the time is less and we have to cover Upadhatu as well as Mala. In the last we will discuss about the scope of different research we can do in this particular Dosha Dhatu Mala. So what is Upadhatu? Now materials formed during Dhatwagni Paka, we know that this, and material nourished by the byproducts of viruses. So जो उपधातु है that is formed by as a सूक्ष्म भाग in धातु पोषणा. Now only dharan karma, maintenance is holding, and it gets affected by vitiation of dhatu. If the dhatu is affected, then the particular its updhatu is also gets affected. And they can get infected or get affected by independently by dosha also. Now one important or characteristic of Upadhatu is they don't follow a pattern. Now, different characteristics are there for each Upadhatu. So, you can, this is the list of the Upadhatu that is given by the Charak. And we can see that Rasadhatu has Tanya and Raja. Now, Stanya and Raja are directly associated with Rasadhatu. If the Rasadhatu is not good, then it may result in Stanya or Dushti of Stanya and Raja. But if we come to Rakta Dhatu, then it's Sira and Kandara. Uh, and again we come to Meda Dhatu, it's Snayu and Sandhi. As we all know that Sira are the Medasa Sneham Adaya. It is formed by the Medasa Sneha. So if there is Kharapak, it results in Kandara, and if there is Mrudupak, it results in Sira. So how they are interrelated and why they get nourished by the Rakta Dhatu, it is a matter of research. Even if the Kandara and Snayu are considered as one and the same. That so Vritta Snayu is Kandara. So why Kandara is the Upadhatu of Rakta Dhatu and Snayu is the Meda Dhatu. Sandhi can be associated because both Meda Dhatu and joints are the have the Shlesha Kapha which have uncutaneous for that. Now here Vasa and Tvacha for Mamsa Dhatu. Now if you go back to the Strotasa. So Masvahanam Strotasam Snayumulam Tvakcha. And then we are talking about that Tvacha is Upadhatu of Masadhatu. Now this interrelation needs to be studied when we are learning or when we are understanding the concept of Dhatu and Upadhatu. So there are contradictions, there is confusion, I can say that. Regarding this Upadhatu as well as Strotas, how one can become the Upadhatu as well as it can become the Moolasthana of that Dhatu. Then next is Mala. Now, Mala are the materials formed during digestion of food or various metabolic processes not useful for the body. Means this is a vague term that it is not useful, but it performs its work for a particular time period and then it got excreted. So specific period of time they remain in body, perform their work and then expelled. Now it is responsible for maintenance of body in cases of emaciation of vitiation of dhatu. Okay, so in cases of when there is no dhatu for the maintenance or dharana karma. So for example in Rajakshma we have seen in Rajakshma patients you can typically see if you give Virechan the patient suddenly become bedridden if in severe cases because is Purish is the bala there. So if you are giving Virechan the bala is gone and the patient becomes bedridden. Now it is nourished by the Kitta portion of the Ahara and dynamic in nature. So we have seen that Ahar when digested by the Agni gets converted into Sara and Kitta Bhaga, and from Kitta Bhaga all the malas get nourished. So it is very important that what effect Kitta has on these mala. Now it gets vitiated by dosha and there results in the formation of disease. Now cannot cause disease independently. So these are the criteria. Uh, these are the different criteria to ascertain a particular entity as mala. Now these are the list of mala we all have seen. So mala is not useful part. Therefore oja is considered by the Sharangdhar as the mala of Shukra Dhatu as it is not useful for Shukra Dhatu. That's why. Okay. Then these are the Dhatu mala. So this chart we have already discussed. But when we explain or elaborate this chart as this, so this is Aharasa, formation of Srotasa, its Moolasthana and what is the Mala. So it gives a different picture. So for example, Rasadhatu, Rasavah Srotas is a Moolasthana is Hridaya and Dhamni, and here in Rasavah Srotas when there is a Dhatvagni Paka, it results in formation of Upadhatu, Dhatu Mala. So Kapha Lasika formed in Hridaya, Pitta in Yakrit Pliya. So this is Malarupa Pitta that we can quantify or we can measure. Then Kamala Prajanan Mala is there, then Sweda Keshaloma. Now this gives a different aspect of formation of Mala in the Moolasthana of the Strotasa. Then we know Prithvi, Jala, Teja plus this is Panchabhautik combination of Mala. Now these specifically points towards the properties possessed by the particular Mala. So if the Parthiv Bhag is increased, it may result in constipation. Okay, Prithvi Pradhana. In Mutra, Jala and Teja. Teja Bhag increase, it results in burning sensation. Okay. Then seat of Mala, we have seen Pakvashe. Now this is the most commonest topic that Mutra, Pakvashe is the origin of Mutra. And this needs to be proven. Now this can be a topic of research for various, because are the Pakvashaya or gets affected in Mutravastru, Tasvyati, or does there is a concomitant vitiation of Mutra as well as dosha in Pakvashaya that needs to be studied. Then functions we know Avashtamba, Anila, Anila Dharana. So we even in the common practice we know that a constipation or any disorder associated with Purisha greatly hampers the Agni or Pachana of the subject. So this needs to be proven. Then Mutra is Basti Puran, Vikleda Krut, Kleda Dharan. What is Kled? Again one more entity that needs to be checked by various methods or from literary research. What do you understand by the clade in this? Now then, coming to the vitiation of dosha. Now vitiation of dosha typically occurs vriddhi and kshaya in physiology. So vriddhi is quantitative as well as qualitative aggravation, and as Vagbata has said, it is jaya plus prakopa occurs at the primary site of dosha. Now, Kshay is a quantitative or qualitative elevation, unable to show symptom or cause disease. That's why Acharya has not given so much importance to Kshay, because they are not able to show symptom, and Vriddhi is always discussed. Now, physiologically, in normal day-to-day life, what happens is Vriddhi equal to Kshay, and it relates to dynamic equilibrium. So, we have seen in Avasthapaka or during different periods of time, there is Vata dominance, Pitta dominance, so equilibrium is maintained. But during pathology, what happens? Vriddhi is more than Kshaya or Vriddhi is less than Kshaya. And ultimately, what happens, in whatever is Vriddhi, it shows the symptom. Now, in Vyadhi, aggravated dosha plus debilitated dosha. It is important. Dosha should be aggravated, but dosha should be debilitated, and there, which results in presence of Khavaigunya. Now, when as we have seen that after sthana sanchara avastha, then only we call it as Vyadhi. Up till then, there is just dosha dushti. Then vitiation of dusha, that is dhatu and mala. Now vriddhi refers to qualitative or quantitative aggravation, primary site of dhatu, upadhatu or mala. And kshaya is quantitative or qualitative elevation, unable to perform its function. So physiologically, vriddhashaya is compensated. No involvement of dosha is there. But in pathology, there is vriddhi, kshaya or dushti. So either the dhatu is increased, decreased, or there is a dosha dushti in the uh, with the of the dhatu. Now again the same things is Vyadhi occurs only when there is a debilitated dusha. That is it dusha jo dhatu and upadhatu or mala uh, is debilitated due to lack of nourishment or any other reason. Now, scope of research we are talking about. These are the basic things that we discuss. We all know about this. Now, experimental studies to demonstrate types of dosha, dosha shaya with respect to diet, time, duration, season, etc. That can be planned. Now, different physiological functions. So, according to diet or pitta prakopa kahar vihar, we can plan what increases in the body. Okay, experimental studies, animal studies can be carried out regarding that. Then different physiological functions and its association with dosha properties, location, and functions can be done. For example, we are carrying out a prakruti and nerve cell conduction, uh, nerve conduction velocity. We are carrying a project on that. Then metabolic markers can be used: stomach acid levels, bile acid levels for pitta, then airway surface liquid, airway mucus, mucins, bronchoalveolar lavage for kapha. These investigations or these parameters can be used to understand the kapha, pitta or vata. Now, different disorders and its association with dosha properties, location and function that can be carried out to understand, because what happens is Ayurveda is everything about guna chikitsa or guna. So different guna associated with different disorders can relate, mostly relate to the treatment, as well as we can plan some studies regarding the location, and whatever investigations can be done to carry out what are the markers there can be associated with particular dosha. Then studies to demonstrate relation of dhatu with dhatu srotasa upadhatu, as we have discussed that how can be a entity is considered as a moolasthana of that dhatu, and it is also considered as the upadhatu of that, so that we can consider as a interdependence of dhatu, etc. Now, Sama Niramal and its effect, or what composition of mala, and what is the Samanira mala, origin of mutra, that we have discussed already. Now, various pariksha associated with dosha dhatu mala. So, various pariksha are mentioned like Nadi pariksha, then Tailbindu pariksha. So, these pariksha needs to be again and again performed and verified, and it should be standardized. Standardization is the main problem with Ayurveda when it comes. So, what happens is we need to do various studies regarding that, and standardize the procedures as well as the different parikshas in Ayurveda. Now, Department of Kriya Sharir NIA has worked in this regard by organizing the national workshop on development and assessment criteria of Rukshadi Guna of Vad Dosh, Pitta Dosh and Kapha Dosh, and also Sara Pariksha. Here, a continuous efforts have been made to develop a assessment criteria for these guna and assess in healthy, and we are developing this for uh, disease also. Right now we are working mainly on the healthy persons, but we will soon we will develop on the uh, diseased also. Now the conclusion for all these things to for today's presentation is, now there is a basic difference between the Ayurveda and the modern science, and it should be always taken into account while designing a research protocol. We cannot say that every one medicine to everyone. Now the modern medicine is also moving towards personalized medicine. So we should make, while planning a research protocol, we should understand and focus on the basic concepts of Ayurveda as well as the basic differences in Ayurveda and modern science. Okay, now thorough knowledge of the concept. Basically, what happens most of the time, we take the topic for research, and halfway through the research, we realize, oh, it is going somewhere vague, or there are so many confounding factors. So, this can be minimized. I cannot say it can be removed, but minimized by having the thorough knowledge of the concept. uh, as it may lead to the vague research outcomes. I mean, a vague research outcome, as we all have known in your MD research, is that halfway down the line we know, okay, we have not taken this, we have left this, or this is by confounding factors. Now, what happens basically is we are making this research outcome of no use to all, and that's why we don't publish, and that's why everybody says. Uh, Everybody says that Ayurveda is not present or scientifically valid. Now, prevalence and incidence studies in Ayurveda are the need of the hour. Now, we always, you must have written articles, then you must have known that we always go for prevalence and incidence studies of US, or now in India also. But what prevalence we do have of our diseases? Our Prakriti. For example, whenever we are performing a trial on a Pandu, we always take the anemia patient. Do we have the prevalence of Pandu? Do we have the prevalence of Prameha? But what happens, or even the simplest thing is, do we have the prevalence of normal BP in different prakriti person or normal blood sugar level. These needs to be studied. You know, the research work, and the basic thing is, and the most important thing is, the research work should be carried out in collaboration with experts from other fields also. Okay, it is very important. If you think that I am the whole and soul of all the research, it will make a bias in your research. So it's very much important for you to collaborate with research personnel for other fields also. Most of the Ayurveda research is carried out by the basic sciences like chemistry, biology people. Okay, why? Because we are not collaborating, and they come to know from some other sources that other sources that Ayurveda has this concept, and they go with the experiments and prove our thing, and then we say okay, this is already mentioned in Ayurveda, so this is not good. Then report research with negative outcome. It is very important. If you have tried any method to substantiate or standardize some concept, some guna, if there is a negative result, if there is a failure, if you have come to okay, my now my research was not going in the direction that I wanted, you should always, what you do is to report it, because maybe there must be in future there will be some person making the same mistake. At least you will avoid that thing, and the Ayurveda will move forward in that direction. So, with this Thomas Edison quote, I leave you that I have not failed. I have just found 10,000 ways that won't work. We Ayurveda people always think that we should succeed in the first attempt. Now, that is not the case always. No, be ready for the failure. You know, it gives us insights on what can went wrong or what have went wrong, and we can improve our methods. Last but not the least, it is a quote from Albert Einstein that it's not that I'm so smart, it's just that I stay with the problems longer. So never lose hope, or never, if you are not able to do the research properly, stay with your problem longer. Now, if you are going to be your problem longer, you will find a solution. Okay, or you can guide what not to do, and that is the takeaway point of this presentation. Thank you so much for having me. I think 10 minutes are left. So, for the workshop report, okay, it will be published soon by our department. We will let you know whenever it will be published. Okay, the work is going on that.
Hello.
Thank you,
Thank
Rashmi
you.
ji. Thank you, Rashmi ji, for the nice lecture. Now, session is open for queries. Anyone who is having any query can leave their queries in the chat box or can raise their hands. Dr. Rashmi ji is there. Uh,
Dr. Harani, please ask your query. You have put it in the chat box. I have sent you the unmute request. Please unmute yourself and ask your query, sir. Dr. Harani, sir. Okay, the next query is from Dr. Supriya Mane. Ma'am, I have sent you the unmute request. Please unmute yourself and ask your query.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, ma'am.
A very good
Am I
evening.
audible?
Yes, yes, you are
Yes.
audible.
My query was about how to take the Anjali Praman like Pitta, Shleshma, Purisha. So, is there any standardization or method in which we can quantify these elements? Thank you.
Okay, so for Anjali Pramana, you must know that it is Swanjali Pramana. So first of all, the first step going towards the standardization of the Anjali Pramana should be done regarding that. Okay, now next is how can we count the Pitta Praman or this. So Malarupa Pitta, there is biliary acid volume counting. We can do now that with aspiration, so you can correlate that. But a pilot study should be done before going into such quotations. Okay, Ayurveda is basically this Anjali Pramana is why given. This should be first of all searched. I think so. Because if does it matter in the physiology or pathology कि मेरा if the Anjali Pramana is less or if Anjali Pramana is more. So the context of Anjali Pramana should be taken into that amount. And then we should plan a research. But pilot studies can be done regarding that.
The
Thank you,
next
ma'am.
query is from, okay, thank you. The next query is from Dr. Rajni Thakur. Please unmute yourself and ask your query, sir. Dr. Rajni Thakur. Next query is from Dr. Rohit Singh. Dr. Rohit Singh, I have sent you the unmute request. Please unmute yourself and ask your query, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir. I'm audible.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Good evening, ma'am. A
Yes.
very nice and crisp presentation about the some concepts. Ma'am, actually, my query is how can we, like you have emphasized on the interdisciplinary collaborations, and it is one of need of time also to interpret the Ayurveda result up to some extent. But how can we interpret like Mool Sthan? Can we interpret it like a pluripotent cells or stem cells? First, similarly, how can we interpret that Kit and Prasad Bhag? Because for collaboration, we need to get into these concepts. How can we interpret these concepts? How can we make understand other person from the some other field? Thank you.
That is the main problem about Ayurveda. You know, Ayurveda is very much alien to the Western world. So if you go by that, I have a Sarik Bhaga, I have a Kitta Bhaga regarding their concept. Now you have to make for the universal acceptance of Ayurveda. So Sara and Kitta will be clear about in your mind also. You know, in everybody mind. For that purpose, how could I decide the Kitta Bhaga? So the first step towards the basic research is the literary research that we lag behind, because most of the time what happened, we are not known about the concept. We are very much ignorant, or we are halfway the concept. Also for interdisciplinary, what happens basically with Ayurveda people, no, we don't, including myself, we don't know much of the technological aspects. Okay, so autophagy already mentioned in Ayurveda. Okay, so all the Nobel Prize that have gone for physiology has already mentioned in Ayurveda, but why didn't we get the Nobel Prize? Because we didn't know the method. That's the issue. So interdisciplinary research is basically for this purpose, to understand. If you go, okay, I have this concept of Sarakitta, where at the intestine level there is absorption, and whatever absorption of nutrients and whatever material is left, that is my Kitta Bhaga. Okay, now how can I fit this concept into nourishment of other mala? So there may be some aspiration methods or whatever, because this is most important thing, because we don't know what is the science going on, what molecular basis. Okay, we are now talking about pakvashaya. We give basti in the pakvashaya and it treats the pakshaghata. If 10 20 years down the line we have talked about this, we the other person will say, how is it possible? But now we have gut brain axis, gut lung axis, gut skin axis. So science is always evolving. It is not. It is on our part. We should not be skeptical regarding. You know, everything is not possible to substantiate via collaboration with interdisciplinary. But there are many things that needs to be done regarding the basic research. What I think, clinical research is most of the time is easily accepted by the even journals also. You know, very less importance is given to literary research, but they are the base where, you know, we have been doing a research in guna. So it is very beautiful when we search for the my PhD topic was on vidangadi churna, on stholya. So there is very much studies are done on vidangadi churna and stholya. but my point of view was Laghu Guna. And you will be very much surprised that it is written in the text that it reduces the sthaulya by Laghu Guna. But we never take. We usually take sthaulya. Okay, it is mentioned in Falashruti. We will do it. Now, how Laghu Guna is interpreted? It can be. I think I could have more justified the topic if I have interdisciplinary collaboration. Now, these are available right now, so we should go for it without being skeptical regarding that.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hello,
Hello.
hello, hello.
Yes,
Hello,
sir.
am I audible?
Yes,
Can
yes.
I add something regarding this question?
Sir, Dr. Mahendra Prasad sir is trying to elaborate us or enlighten us on this topic, sir.
सर का कुछ क्वेश्चन था कि यहाँ प्रसाद और किट को कैसे डिमार्केशन करेंगे। तो इस संदर्भ में जो हमारा बताने का है कि जैसे रस है, रक्त है, मांस है, इन सभी के प्रसाद भाग बनते हैं और मल भाग बनते हैं। तो अगर रस की बात देखेंगे तो रस के साथ जो कफ के गुण हैं उसमें अमलगमेटेड रहते हैं। अमलगमेशन होने के बाद क्या होता है, उसका एक एक्सट्रैक्ट पार्ट होता है, उसका कुछ रिमेनिंग पार्ट होता है विच आर नॉट गोइंग टू बी यूटिलाइज्ड बाय द बॉडी। These are basically the observational parameter which have the defined as a mal bhag and the prasad bhag. Second one is the रक्त जो रक्त धातु है उसका जो मल भाग है वो पित्त है। और जैसा कि डिस्क्रिप्शन में आया है कि जो पित्त है, अभी डॉक्टर साहब ने बाइल के बारे में बताया है, तो मेटाबॉलिक में अगर देखा कि मेटाबॉलिकली देखेंगे रक्त का जो टूटना होता है वो बेसिकली बाइल फॉर्म में और बाइलिरुबिन, बाइलिवर्डिन, रूमी वर्डिन, ये सब जितना बनता है इसी के साथ में बनता है। तो उसको जो मात्रा उन्होंने डिटेक्ट किया है पूरे बॉडी के साथ लेकर के वो अंजलि प्रमाण में बताया है 5 अंजलि। इसी तरह अगर मांस की बात करेंगे तो मांस को भी डिमार्केशन बताया है कि इसमें त्वचा जो है मांस का, इसमें मांस का जो मल है, खमल है अक्षी नासा का, उसके सिक्रेशन पार्ट से लिया गया है। और मेद का जो है स्वेद भाग से लिया गया है। वो भी बेसिकली देखेंगे जो मेदोज होते हैं उनमें स्वीट की प्रवृत्ति ज़्यादा होती हैं, और जो मेटाबॉलिकली होता है उसमें मेटाबॉलिकली बनने के बाद जो एनर्जी रिलीज होती है वो फैट के कंबंशन से ज़्यादा होती है। तो जो स्वीटिंग होती है वो मात्रा ज़्यादा निकल जाती है, खासकर ओबेज में, जिसे हम स्थूलता के संदर्भ की बात करते हैं। और जो अस्थि, मज्जा और शुक्र है रिस्पेक्टिव जो अंग होते हैं उससे जो मल का निर्माण या उसका एंड प्रोडक्ट बनते हैं, ये थ्योरेटिकल एस्पेक्ट से या ऑब्जर्वेशनल स्टडी बताया गया है। तो इस हिसाब से हम जस्टिफाई कर सकते हैं कि यहाँ इसका ऑब्जर्वेशनल जो मात्रागत वर्णन है इसको हम एनालाइज कर सकते हैं। तो ये हमारा थोड़ा सा जो व्यू रहा है वो मैं बताने की कोशिश किया। ओवर टू यू रश्मि मैम।
Thank you, sir. Sir is the associate professor in our college and he is always there to guide us. Thank you so much, sir, for your insights.
थैंक यू सो मच सर। मैम एक थोड़ा सा रेमिफिकेशन है मेरे ही क्वेश्चन की, तो इफ यू कैन अलाउ तो मैं थोड़ा सा पूछूं उसकी।
Sure.
थैंक यू मैम। सर जैसे सर ने भी बताया, बहुत ही मतलब एक कहते हैं ना कि बहुत ही सिंपली एक्सप्लेन कर दिया उन्होंने पूरा सारे उपधातुओं का और मलों का वर्णन। तो सर बट यहाँ पे सर एक थोड़ा सा जो मेरे अंदर एक कंफ्यूजन अराइज होती है कि अगर हम उसे जैसे कि हम मल मान रहे हैं कि वो उसका मल भाग है, सिक्रीशंस हैं, लाइक इन केस ऑफ मेद की स्वेद निकल जाता है बॉडी से, मज्जा के केसेस में अक्षी और मल है, दैट इज काइंड ऑफ एंड प्रोडक्ट और यू कैन से द वेस्ट प्रोडक्ट, अगर हम स्पेशली स्वेद या खमल की बात करें तो बट सर अगर जैसे कि भी पित्त है कि वो रक्त का मल भाग मतलब कीट भाग मल बताया गया है, तो पित्त that the dosh which is considered as pitt and the mal which is considered as pitt both are different or same? मेरा पहला क्वेश्चन कि जो दोष हम पित्त मानते हैं वो वही पित्त है जो रक्त का मल है, फर्स्ट थिंग। एंड सर दूसरी चीज ये कि जैसे हम पढ़ते हैं कि इसके मल से किसी एक ऑर्गन की उत्पत्ति होती है, जैसे उंडुक है या शोणित फेन से फुफ्फुस का है। तो जो मल है, इज इट कैपेबल एनफ और पोटेंट एनफ टू क्रिएट एन ऑर्गन, अगर वो मल है तो? थैंक यू सर।
हेलो हेलो
सर।
हाँ, रश्मि जी।
जी सर।
अच्छा, हाँ सर जी जो पूछे हैं कि हाँ पित्त बेसिकली क्या है, फल रूपी है या जो वर्णन किया गया है वो है। बेसिकली यहाँ पर जितने भी वर्णन है, आप अवस्था पाक की स्थिति देखेंगे तो अवस्था पाक में मधुर अवस्था पाक, अम्ल अवस्था पाक, कटु अवस्था पाक बनता है। इसमें कॉन्सिक्वेंसली तीनों के लिए कफ का निर्माण, पित्त का निर्माण और वात का निर्माण होता है। और वो जो बनता है, ये जो तीनों दोष होते हैं, यही तीनों मल रूपी दोष होते हैं जो प्राकृतिक दोष को अनुग्रहित करते रहते हैं। ये जो वर्णन डिस्क्रिप्शन पित्त का आया है, बेसिकली ये मूल पित्त नहीं है। मूल पित्त, मूल कफ, मूल वात वो अलग है। और जो यहाँ डिस्क्रिप्शन किया गया है, जो वात पित्त कफ की 6 अंजलि, 5 अंजलि और वात का जो ये अवस्थाओं के बाद बनना शुरू होता है, ये बेसिकली मल रूपी दोष हैं। और यही मल रूपी दोष ही आहार के द्वारा प्राप्त होने से उन सभी दोषों को अनुग्रहित करते रहते हैं और पूरित करते रहते हैं और उनको बल प्रदान करते रहते हैं। जिसका भी आप डिस्क्रिप्शन आप विविधा स्थिति 28वें अध्याय में आप इस बात को देखेंगे, वर्णन किया है। तो ये क्योंकि मूल अलग है, मूल का स्थान अलग है और बाकी जो निर्माण हो रहा है वो अलग है, होने के बावजूद भी वो मूल को अनुग्रहित करते रहते हैं। ओवर टू यू
सर। एक और चीज है इसमें, जैसे अगर दोष व स्रोतस देखे तो वो संपूर्ण शरीर में मौजूद होते हैं। देखा जाए तो दोष व स्रोतस आर प्रेजेंट ऑल ओवर द बॉडी। तो व्हेन वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट एम्ब्रियोजेनेसिस of or genesis of some organs, we are talking about embryology. We are not talking about malarup pitta that is excreted during the different avastha paka or as formed as a rasamala kapha or piraktamala pitta. So these two concepts are different. That's why I have said that thorough literary knowledge is very much important for designing a protocol, बिकॉज हमें पता ही नहीं होता है हम किसके बारे में बात कर रहे हैं। मलरूपी पित्त, उदीरित पित्त और जो हमारा दोष धातु मल वाला पित्त है। तो अनलेस एंड अंटिल वी आर क्लियर अबाउट आवर कंसेप्ट्स ऑफ दोष धातु मला, वी कैन नॉट प्लान अ रिसर्च प्रोटोकॉल रिगार्डिंग द बेसिक्स ऑफ आयुर्वेदा। एंड दैट्स व्हाई मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल आधे में छोड़ देते हैं ये सब चीजें, क्योंकि फिर बाद में रास्ता बंद हो जाता है, क्वांटिफाई कैसे करें। तो इसके लिए पहले आपको बेसिक रिसर्च करना होगा, देन वी विल हैव टू गो इनटू द ट्रायल।
हाँ, बेसिकली जो रश्मि जी आप कह रहे हैं वो सही है एकदम, कि इवन दो किसी भी चीज का जो ट्रांसपोर्टेशन है बिना स्रोतस के होता ही नहीं है ना। कोई भी ABCD कोई भी चीज अगर बनता है, लिया जाता है, तो उसका ट्रांसपोर्टेशन स्रोतस के द्वारा ही होता है। चाहे दोष का भी थे, दोष के भी अपने स्रोतस होते हैं, जो धातु हैं उनके भी स्रोतस होते हैं, मल होते हैं उनके भी स्रोतस होते हैं। ओवर टू यू रश्मि जी।
I hope your query is satisfied.
डॉक्टर रजनी ठाकुर, प्लीज आस्क योर क्वेरी।
हाँ जी,
डॉक्टर
गुड इवनिंग
रजनी।
एवरीवन। थैंक यू सर। मेरा सर ये था कि मैं पीपीटीज देख रही थी, उसमें था कि विशेषण ऑफ दोषा, क्वालिटेटिव विशेषण एंड क्वांटिटेटिव विशेषण। तो मुझे ये समझना है कि क्वांटिटेटिव विशेषण को हम कैसे समझें। अगर हम कोई रिसर्च करने जा रहे हैं तो क्वालिटेटिव तो हम समझ जाते हैं, उनके लक्षणों के आधार पे मॉडर्न की भी हेल्प ले लेते हैं। लेकिन अगर आयुर्वेद में ही पूरा जाना है तो उसको किस तरीके से, किस अनुरूप से हमें लेना चाहिए। ओवर टू यू सर। थैंक यू।
ठीक है। अब यहाँ पे अगर आप लक्षण देखिए टिपिकली क्षय वृद्धि के,
हाँ जी।
तो यहाँ पर देखिए रसोति वृद्धो हृदयोत्क्लेदम प्रसेकम च आपदेति। तो टिपिकली रस वृद्धि के लक्षण दिखते कब है? व्हेन वी सी द रस वृद्धि लक्षण टिपिकली ऑब्जर्व्ड, और व्हेन देयर इज व्हाट if you go, if you take IV saline for a longer period of time, or if there is a volume of plasma is increased, typically occurs in pregnancy. So rasoti vriddho raktam raktanga akshita sira purnatvam. So it indicates towards the quantitative thing. That's why it is said that it is quantitative and qualitative. That's it. Now, we can plan this on a different level. Okay, quantitative variation typically अब जब मात्रा में अधिक बढ़ गया है, शुक्राश्मरी कहा है, शुक्र वृद्धि कहा गया है, तो इट रिलेट्स टू क्वांटिटेटिव. अब वहाँ पे नॉर्मल लिमिट हमें पहले डिसाइड करनी पड़ेगी कि आयुर्वेद के अनुसार जो है वो उतनी होती है क्या. मॉडर्न में तो दिया हुआ है इतना ml होता है, उतना ml होता है
हाँ
ना.
जी,
तो इसीलिए
जैसे
फिर
अधावेदक है ना, अधावेदक
हाँ.
मैं तो व्याधि को ध्यान में रख रही हूँ कि अगर मैं अधावेदक को समझती हूँ या उसका मैं कुछ करना चाहती हूँ तो मुझे कौन सा प्रोटोकॉल लेना पड़ेगा, कैसे क्वांटिटेटिव और क्वालिटेटिव तो मैं समझ जाऊंगी, लेकिन क्वांटिटेटिव थोड़ा मुझे समझना है, वो होना मुश्किल लग रहा है.
ना देखिए ये है ना, पहले आप बेसिक्स के हिसाब से, ये व्याधि तो बाद में चीज आएगी. व्याधि में बहुत सारी चीजें, व्याधि में टिपिकली आप व्याधि देखेंगे तो वहाँ पे दोष दृष्टि आएगी. दैट इज
जी
नॉट ओनली धातु, है ना.
जी.
तो दोषा इज ऑल्सो वर्किंग देयर. सो व्हाट काइंड ऑफ दोषा इज वर्किंग देयर एंड हाउ इट इज डिविएटिंग द धातु, that will result
According
in.
to different authors, Visheshan of doshas is different, Vagbhat says different, Sushruta says different, Charak says different.
Yeah,
Visheshan.
विशेषण means attributes what you are
Yes,
talking
yes.
about.
मतलब उसका प्रकोप, दोष प्रकोप, कोई वातपित्त कहता है, कोई
हाँ
वातकफ कहता है, कोई त्रिदेश कहता है.
हाँ. तो व्हाट आर द प्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ द व्याधि, दैट्स व्हाट हमारे यहाँ पे पहले ही कहा गया है कि यू नीड नॉट टू नो अबाउट द नेम ऑफ द व्याधि. The simplest method of understanding the dosha dushya sankalpana is write down the symptoms of the patient and divide it into vata pitta kapha. You will see the dominance of vata or pitta or kapha.
Yes,
So
yes.
it is very much easy for us to even if we
Qualitatively that is easy, but and उसको आगा, उसका अगला step that we have to be rule out or we have to discuss or discover.
that what we have to do now then you know, कि we have to decide whether particular symptom is associated to particular guna. Okay, it's all about guna chikitsa. Even if the amount is increased, so drava guna is increased, for
Okay,
example.
we can give the
It is
grading
not
to the
possible for, but basically most of the dhatu are dravas. Therefore, I am telling this कि drava guna has increased. So what I have to do with drava guna? That is ना. अर्धा
Okay.
वेदक में हम चिकित्सा क्या करते हैं, हम विरेचन करेंगे, वमन करेंगे, है ना.
बस्ती मतलब
बस्ती में किया
स्नेहन
जाता
चिकित्सा,
है.
भंगन चिकित्सा, नस्य.
डिपेंडिंग ऑन वात डोमिनेंस होगा तो वी विल गो
Yeah.
फॉर बस्ती.
What is there? What is naturally what is there?
हाँ, तो फिर वही है ना. तो वात दोष इज सूक्ष्म. So how we can increase its amount, है ना. So that's why we are giving basti to pacify. We are thinking on the line that okay, this is the site where the vata prakopa is, or secondary site, the primary site. If the vata is pacified, then we will do the it will pacify the dosha in the other way also.
In
No?
future, is there any scope of quantitative
Yeah,
analysis?
we can I'm not talking about dosha, I'm talking about typically dhatu, है ना. We can plan afterwards. Before we have to, what we have to do is go through first literary research and then divide okay, what is the qualitative and then there is a what is quantitative we can see. हम
Okay.
वात
Thank you.
वृद्धि हुई तो ये दोषों से वृद्धि हुई या क्वांटिटेटिव हुई, तो वात इज सूक्ष्म पर्टिकुलरली, बट पित्त और कफ में तो हम क्वांटिटेटिव देख ही सकते हैं ना. दैट्स इट, है ना. तो अदृश्य है, अमूर्त है वात. यू कैन नॉट से कि वात बढ़ा इज हाउ मच क्वांटिटी इट इज इंक्रीज, बट पित्त बढ़ा. पेशेंट टिपिकली कंप्लेंट्स ऑफ योर बर्निंग सेंसेशन, nausea, vomiting. So what is this? So it is increased and it is trying to come out of this. So we can plan some research regarding that in the future, but it is basically associated with guna. The drava guna is increased. Then what do you mean by drava guna? It is increasing quantitatively. No?
I think there are no more queries left. A very nice session by Dr. Rashmi Gurao.
So thank
Now,
you so much. Thank you so much for organizing committee as well as CCRS, NI, and Institute of Applied Statistics for giving me the opportunity to present my views on this topic. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rashmi ji. Now, I would like to invite chairperson of today's session to please sum up the lecture. Uh, I would like to introduce Sir. Sir is currently working as professor in the Department of Rasashastra and Bhaishajya Kalpana, NIA Jaipur. He has previously worked as director of National Academy of Ayurveda, RAV, Ministry of Ayush, New Delhi. He was also worked as he has also worked as CEO ATAB, a notified accrediting agency of Ministry of Ayush. Sir is very dynamic person with more than 29 years of experience in various fields like policy planning, public health, developing and planning documents, scheme, international negotiations, etc. He has got training at NCP in our Mississippi, USA.
Dr. Sarika, could I
Yes,
intervene?
yes.
Please, this is okay. This is okay. I am working at
Okay.
NIA as a faculty. This is all. First of all, thank you to organizers, all the organizers the consortium of, I will like to say consortium of the organizers who has made such a beautiful program. Believe me, I never sit for so long in any such deliberations, maybe due to my own non-interest or maybe due to my occupancy or like that. But today I was hearing very anxiously, very cautiously, and attentively to Dr. Rashmi. You are really kudos to you and hats off to you. You deliver very nicely. To me, the subject is not so lucrative, but I understood many things. You have very nicely, if I go your presentations detail, you have very nicely detailed why only three doshas, right? You started from what is the location in the body, what are the pathological or crucial property or the key properties what you try to explain. Also, the properties of the dosha, system-wise research could be framed. You regarding the doshas, you explained a lot, and doshas detailed, updhatu details, and also you detailed about the subdhatu. The people, I understand, the people from Ayurvedic side must be understanding. The people from other side, other than Ayurveda, it could look as something new, as something to be worked upon. But yes, this is a if you think, if you see, go in the deeper what she was trying to convey. This has the scientific relevance. It is definitely an observational science. It could not, may or may not be scaled up on a modern parameters. That is the need, and that is the need also what our other side experts were trying to understand, how the things could be merged together, how the two sciences, one of the oldest living science, that is Ayurveda, another science, either it is a technology or it is a pure science. This is the, you may call, the contemporary scientific work, how the both system could be married together, how this so that the pinnacle could come, how the ailing society could be get benefited with the basic concept, the basic what the thoughts had been given in this ancient science. And you have rightly conveyed the composition of the dhatus, where I have seen rasa, majja, shukra, all this composition having jala. Anybody could ask why only jala, what is the difference between, and how difference could occur. Definitely here your what you explained, agni comes in the role. There's agni makes some kind, to me, I'm not expert, believe me, I'm a Rashastri. Agni plays a role, and you have rightly said the mala, what we understand, what layman understands or the other side understands mala as a spita, that is not like that. Even also the vitiation of the doshas and how the dynamic equilibrium between the vidya and cha, you have nicely explained, and dhatu formation you have explained, and also you have explained very nicely where the doshas are located in the body. This is one of the important, and their what are the key properties. Definitely to me, as a not as a student of your subject, I am basically Rashastri, what I always say. I understand it as a neuro-indo immunology. I usually say like neuro, we may make a like this. Yes, neuro could be correlated, could be somewhat linked with some of the what indo could be pitta, and to me immunology could be the kapha. I don't know how much I am correct. You are the expert, you can say, and definitely you have rightly said the scope of the research. Yes, a single deliberation or a single 3-month training would not be easy to understand this science. To me, I may be wrong, but this is a vast science, and definitely that's why this platform has been created. How we can understood how we could understood, how we can translate the system to the current understanding, how the people could understand what the beauties has been written. And definitely, you have rightly said the areas for the metabolic markers. There's a need, acid levels, a lot. Probably I have somewhat, my colleague has informed also earlier also. Yes, some research in PubMed has been published about relating the vata with the vagus nerve. I'm not sure how much it is correct, or I'm not expertise to comment upon. But yes, it could be done. And to me, yes, this science works, observational science being practiced, and that's why we are trying to collaborate with the different science institution. Or finally, yes, we all are here to support the science. We are all here to for the ailing humanity. And मुझे माफ करिएगा, I usually feel न दोषा नाम न दुष्या नाम न पुंसाम परिच्छेद न देशस्य न कालस्य. तो मैं तो मानता हूं कि yes, our aim should be the ailing society should get benefited with the ancient knowledge, marrying with a modern understanding, validating on the modern parameters to extent possible. To extent possible, I would like to add here. To extent possible, it could be done, and this is all for. Thank you for organizers. Thank you to you, and thank you to all who has put me here to explain my views on this. Thank you. Over to you, Dr. Sarika. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for nicely summarizing the lecture in very nice words. Thank you very much, sir. Again, thank you all. Participants can now leave the meeting.